Okay, greetings and salutations. Sorry that the stream's coming in hot at the last minute, but that's just how things roll sometimes. What you were looking at here, besides my lovely face in one corner, I've got the old school essentials, the treasure. Well, actually, two tabs. One with the treasure types and what I'm looking at now, gems and jewelry, in one window, and then my Ouija board on the other one. I've wanted kind of for a while to do something with treasures. In fact, what happens is this is what let me explain what happens. I like to go to the museums over the weekend. If you follow any that like a couple of community posts I put up, or if you're following me on if you're a free subscriber on Patreon, there's got to be another term for that, a free subscriber. So basically, on Patreon, you can just subscribe without actually spending any money, just becoming a free subscriber. In any case, I posted some pictures on posted some pictures on the air, me going on the air, on the Patreon of me going to the museum, different things. Every time I go to the museum, particularly the museum of, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which I went to on Friday, they always have amazing jewels, jewelry, gems, all this kind of stuff, grave goods. And I always think to myself, this grand idea, I'm going to put together a supplement or do something with this, something to kind of revamp kind of the treasures, sort of vanilla treasures, because I see all this stuff and think like there's so much amazing stuff, and then I don't do anything with it. Well, I'm trying to do better. Trying to do better. So this is kind of what I thought we could work on today. Is really just I'm not gonna be able to do all this in an hour or whatever time we have. This will be something maybe I'll do multiple stages, or I'll start here and finish, something like that. But I think it's a worthwhile. It's a worthwhile thing to try. I think that it's easy, and I've certainly done this in my games, to just fall on the kind of vanilla tables. But if you go with the very vanilla tables, there's kind of nothing to them, right? Oh, you get so many gems, jewelry worth X amount, and that's fine as far as it goes. But I think if we can add more specificity, they can make for really good world building or linking kind of tools. Right? Oh, okay, you just got a piece of jewelry, or did we get an amulet or a necklace, or what does that mean? Do we get just a gem, or is it a specific gem? That sort of thing. And we could tie that in with stuff going on. And also, and I posted this today on to Itch, a free supplement for this minimalist game jam on this kind of ad hoc magic system. And part of that ad hoc magic system is this idea of sympathetic magic we discussed before, which means taking kind of like and to like, right? So, I have the graven image of a bat, so maybe that helps me summon a bat, because we have the image of the bat and that connects to the actual bat. And treasures can make those connections. You could have these different things coming up. Oh, I have an amulet with the symbol of some demon or godling or something on it. Then maybe I could try to use that to help summon or communicate with that demon or godling. But if you don't have those details, and that stuff can't really happen. Let me see. Frederick's posted a bunch of stuff in the chat, so let me see what he does. Okay, so Frederick says, this is one of the subjects that always lit up the office back in the Space Gamer days. That's cool. He also says that Conrad, who ran Space Gamer, I guess still runs Space Gamer, would argue that the reward had to justify the most likely horrific death that was most likely to occur, and that Frederick would argue that instead of treasure, a reward of a title and property would be most welcome. I mean, you can have lots of rewards, right? I'm not trying to say that that sort of loot should be the be-all, end-all, but in terms of just as something that one finds in these spaces, I think that the vanilla ones are just a little bit wanting. They're just really generic, which I think works if you're just doing a beer and pretzels game. That's great, but I think it's also, we could look at it as, what can we do with this to add more to the game? So I think there's room there to add depth. Apart from, I think that titles and lands, things like that are good. I kind of would work that more into that rewards kind of thing, which actually can tie into the treasures too, right? If you find the lost crown of some kingdom, and then you go present that crown to that king or whomever, most likely what you're going to get back from that is they're not going to hand you 10,000 gold pieces or whatever the value is, but they're going to say, hey, and you've given us this, we're going to give you titles and land. That's kind of how I would connect it. Well, there's no one way. Hey, Derp says they've heard of Shadow Dark to take OSR treasure value, divide by 10. Do you know if that's right? I have no idea if it's right, but it is something else I've thought about. It's not necessarily dividing the treasure by 10, though you could do that too, is just there's a couple things. One, dividing the value by 10. Now, Shadow Dark, I don't know I don't think that they would use the OSR treasure stocking stuff, but maybe there's a tip in there of, hey, if you are using OSR treasures like from a module, divide the numbers by 10. It might work out better with the math that they're using to level up. I'm not sure. What I have thought is really dividing the number of stuff by an amount. For example, you get let me close this menu. You get kind of these things: 66 gems, 66 pieces of jewelry, which sounds fine. You think, oh yeah, this is a giant, I don't know, a hoard. So of course they're gonna have a lot of stuff. I would almost think about increasing the values and then dropping them in half. But maybe the gems, like having more gems than this stuff. Like my thinking here, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because I'm probably not going to get to this part today, was have much less coinage, and then these would actually turn out to be different types of stuff. And so you might have less jewelry, but the jewelry will be maybe worth double what it is book value, and have some other things in here. And I don't have, I have a weird thing because my computer is a PC, and right now I don't have I was having trouble with my PC and the iCloud application. So the upshot is, I have an iPhone and all my photos go into the iCloud. So if I don't, since I can't communicate. So I took a bunch of photos on there. Maybe there's a way. Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can bring this out. So I know there's the iCloud app. Let me see. So I can see, because maybe I could pull some photos in there at some point. We'll see. Oh, I gotta do two-factor. Oh, everything is a two-factor authentication. Yes, this was me. Allow. Oh, now I gotta put in. Hold on a minute. Let me put in this number. Whoops. Yes, you can trust me. It is my home PC. Okay, fine. All right, let me get to. So okay. I should be. I guess I should be able to pull over some photos when I get some. Let me just look here in the chat. Whoops. So, what was Frederick saying? Stop that. Okay. Frederick says the title and property, you can jump up responsibility of the character in the domain game. Yes, that's true. I mean, right. There's a lot of levels to that, right? Because the domain and properties, it's intriguing, but it's also complicating, right? In a good way and bad way, really depending on how you look at it. Because yes, it is going to add in a lot of that kind of domain stuff. It can also mean that, players who don't want that, right? I mean, it's really, what is your game, right? Do players want it? Do players not want it? How, I can't do this right now. Let me just see. All right, I'm just going to download. Hold on a minute. I know everything. Let's see. What was this? Oh yeah. So there's another. Yeah. So too much good stuff. Let's see. Can I show these by date so that I can keep my library by dates? I don't know if I can. Theodore Roosevelt Park. Oh, that must be the museum. Okay, memories all along in the moonlight. I'm just gonna have to dump them in as I see it. I don't think it's gonna let me. Unfortunately, it does not seem like it's got a good way of sharing or just showing the photos that I want to share. All right, let's not get bogged down in that. Let's see. What else Frederick says? Those old school D&D groups were big. They needed a lot to spread around to make everyone happy. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Though that's not a concern. I mean, so Frederick bring up a point, right? These OSE bringing over kind of BX values, BX and OD&D before it kind of skewed towards bigger groups. which is fine. Though I think a lot of it too, right? You end up, the thing is, you end up just wanting to get the gold pieces out of it. So you end up going through this thing. So I have a couple of things, I guess. A couple of things I want. If I look at, well, what am I trying to do? What are my design intentions? Number one, I want a little bit something less generic, not necessarily specific to a certain era, but we can just get less generic in terms of jewelry. Okay, something like that, right? Gems, which by the book and lots of tools have added on kind of sorts of gems, things like that. But oftentimes with that kind of thing, you you don't get much more than, oh, it's gems, and here's the value of the gems, which doesn't tell you anything really. Now, granted, you're as a GM, you're left to your own devices. Hey, do this. But when you're rolling them on the spot and stuff, it's easier just to say, oh, you got some gems, and it doesn't. And for the most part, a lot of times it doesn't matter what kind of gems. But if you're so, and that's fine if all you're doing is converting the gems to your gold or silver pieces. If you're just gonna end up converting them, if they're just carriers of gold piece value, then that's totally fine. It doesn't matter ultimately, because unless you're gonna get into trading of gems and which gems have better values, and in this town they like diamonds, but in that town they like sapphires. If you're not doing that, it doesn't matter. It's just they are just carriers of value, right? They're just little. As Frederick mentions, they're easier to carry. It's easier to carry some gems than it is to carry a bunch of coins, so you carry gems. That's fine. But I think that's really underselling what gems can mean for you in a game, in your world, just everything. Like I said, in that ad hoc spellcasting system, you can use gems, at least the ones that are worth at least 1,000 gold pieces. Though maybe I'll shrink it down. I don't know. What I release is per 1,000 gold piece value. They can absorb damage. They can do, right? They have this value of, if I have a fire, if I have a red gem and I'm casting a fire spell, then I can get that helps me. So that's a specific thing, but I need to know not just the value of the gem, but what color it is. And something I found, and I'll try to find a picture of it, these etched gems, which are really cool. And I don't know if my picture came out well because they're really tiny, but I saw them. I thought, this is awesome. They're these little gems, and they have different shapes, and they're etched. I'll try to find the picture, and it was really cool. And I thought, man, that's another thing, right? If we have this kind of a sympathetic magic system, if we're looking at these items and things like how can we make connections, then if you have an etched gem, is this my etched gem picture? Then that looks really cool. Oh, those are seals. Minoan seals, which also was cool. I don't remember what's what, but they were definitely etched gems somewhere. I'll pull up the pictures and you can see what I'm talking about, at least somewhat. It's hard for me to see these pictures. This one? So let's see, zoom. Oh, unfortunately. Okay, so unfortunately so this one's kind of an octopus shape. So what they did was at the museum, they took this gem and then they able to press it to make the impression, so you can see the impression out of it. So each one of these has a gem next to, or has this impression. And I thought these are really neat because if you find some gems with this kind of etching on there, then to me, I look at it and I don't know any jeweler's values, but I would say those are more expensive. Right? Those would be more expensive. So for gems, I sort of split them up. Uncut gems, which would be the cheapest, finished gems, they've been cut. And these etched gems, which have been cut and they have this etching in them. And then that etching can be significant. That's one of the things I want. I guess maybe that's part of what I want to do with treasure. I want to make the treasures more significant. We're going to have less of them, at least in terms of, I think anyway, less loose currency, probably very little loose currency, but more stuff. And it's funny how all these systems interplay into each other, because what I was thinking about with this stuff is, do I need to then think about encumbrance? Because there's not, that in D&D as it stands, right, you have coin weight in something like BX, which is fine. It works fine. But it doesn't really you don't really get into how cumbersome and how you really like the coin weight of a vase may not actually equate to the cumbersomeness, how difficult it is to carry out the vase. Now you might say you might need it and might not need that, and I agree to some extent you don't. We know what a vase looks like. We can say the shape, and if you have to carry it in one hand, then you can't be carrying other things. But it also made me think about if we're going to have all these different shapes and things that are more than just gems, jewels, the odd magic item. If I want to have amphora and I want to have all these different jugs and goblets and chalices and all these things, then yeah, some of that you can just chuck in your pack and it will refine. Other things you can't put an amphora in your pack. It's just not gonna work. You're gonna have to figure out some other way to do it. And it made me wonder whether, like, boy, do I need to look at a way of figuring out some ways to at least look at the encumbrance. And I was thinking about that too, but I'll save that for some other time. Now, the other thing I did when I was out that day, I was at the museums, I stopped at the bookstore and I put a picture of that up. Two of the books that I got at the Strand, you may have noticed, one was called Medieval Craftsman's Goldsmiths, which I'll put there. And the other one was this thing all about Greece. And what I wanted out of these books, much like the photos, is because they have lots of descriptions of stuff where we are getting into kind of things. Because these are all things that, and a lot of it, are things that we as, archaeologists and everything that found in, I just want to make kind of a rough list, found in tombs. So to me, it makes sense that we should be looking at those same things. And it's not a bunch of coins. It's usually more stuff. So just going through this Greece one, if we look at some of these, and I just love the pictures. And, I would say just in general, your used bookstores, don't sleep on a lot of the kind of books that are there. I know people have really great success finding role-playing books at something like half-price books, things like that. And that's all great and grand. But a lot of times these other books are really useful. So for example, we have a list of a picture, of all these different beads, pendants, and amulets that they found. So I'm not going to put them in order necessarily, but I'll just put beads, pendant, amulet. And whether they end up being magical or not, I'm not worried about that. That could be another role, or it could be whatever. So we have a model of a house. So I'll just say a model. And then we have a cup. So we want to find the model. This one, what is it made of? So I'm going to get some materials. So we have terracotta. Obviously there's stone. Let's get another list going. And the other thing too is I think often the value doesn't have to, the value can be more than what it's made of. And I did a blog post about this a while back, but this idea of kind of the value of something, who is it for, or who wants it? What is it used for? Which again can kind of come up with magic, but also things like if you have let's say a king has just been overthrown by his stepbrother, and the stepbrother who has taken the throne is looking for items that will not looking for items necessarily. Like, I just want items. No, what he wants, what this person wants, is legitimacy, right? They've just taken the throne from this other person. They've kicked out their stepbrother. They've taken the throne. They're really looking to try to make themselves legitimate in the eyes of the people, maybe in the eyes of themselves, in the eyes of their allies and their enemies, and whatever, right? That's something they're doing. So you go and you find something in a dungeon somewhere, and that is an item. Let's say it's an old crown that belonged to an earlier dynasty of the same region. To somebody else, it's like, well, it's nice, but it's not finely made. Maybe it's not encrusted with jewels. It's very simple. Maybe it's roughly wrought. Whatever. The craftsmanship's not even that great. To those people, it's just gonna be like, this is nothing. Right? We don't have the kind of. I presume there's not a market for antiquities just for antiquity's sake. Like, sure, in our world, yeah, someone's gonna want it because it's old, and whatever. But in the world that I think the players are probably playing in, that's not as much of a thing. Like, oh, it's just because it's old. So either some people might say, okay, well, what is it made of? It's made of gold. Okay, so yeah, I could melt it down, and maybe that has a value. But the real value is getting it to somebody who, like that, like this dictator, prince, king guy, because this is just what they want. This is just kind of what they need, because this is the kind of thing that they can use to broadcast their legitimacy, that they are a callback to this earlier thing. Like, oh no, the Merovingians, and then you have the Merovingians, you have the Carolingians, then you have whatever the regular sort of Franks. And so someone takes over and says, no, I'm not, you may have been the Carolingians were here, but I'm a throwback to the Merovingian kings. Remember them from back in the day? And oh yeah, and I've got their crown that shows that I'm right in line with them, right? That's the kind of thing. So, but again, you want that specificity. You don't get any of that with just D6 jewelry. I got a jewelry worth whatever. It doesn't, like, then as me, yeah, I can try to make it up on the spot, but if I'm not Johnny on the spot, then I'm just going to say, sure, it's jewelry. Hey, Ian. Okay, so Ian, who's been playing Shadow Arc, they've been dividing OSC treasure values by 10, a couple by 5 for specials. All right. And Frederick says, there's a treasure you see and the treasure hidden in plain sight. Door hinges, lumber, stone tiles. It's fancy fountain room 7, nice marble columns room 9. That stuff has a market. Yeah, I mean, to a certain point, it gets to be, if we're going to be mundane, like, I don't know, what kind of, that feels like that's just like a TV show kind of thing. Like, we're going to play, what's one of those things like, yeah, we'll just take apart everything. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. And it's not something, I've never been in parties that have been like, we're going to take all the door hinges off the doors. I don't want to be honest, as a player, I don't want to spend all that time doing that. Like, for what? Like, how many door hinges do we have to get? And how many monsters are going to be attacking us while we're trying to take off all the door hinges? I guess for some cruisers playing like a demolition kind of thing, like, yeah, we're just going to tear apart the whole dungeon and sell it for parts. I guess, but I don't know if I don't know that I would be into that. But hey, if some folks are, then more power to them. But there might be a special doorknob, like a special door, right? And people do that, right? People will take a really ancient door from some building and then put it on their new villa or mansion or anything else because they're awesome. I could see that. I don't think I'd want to mess with, like, let's take all the copper pipes, all these cool water traps. Let's just take out the copper piping and sell it back to the new construction. It's like, is that really what I want to be doing with my whatever game time? Me, probably not. But I will say I appreciate their the practicality there. All right, so I'm looking up types of things here. So as I'm kind of going through, I'm not worried about the values yet because, like I said, I think the values are more about who wants them than anything else. So we've got, say, bone, terracotta, shell. Maybe another one. I mean, I can just put bronze, brass, iron, gold, silver. I'm sure there'll be other ones. Let's see. So we got cups. That's I guess, is terracotta separate? Terracotta and ceramic, are they? I'll put ceramic too. I don't know if they are the same. Or they're just related. Derp says, selling all the copper pipes. This is Dungeons and Dragons, not crackheads of copper. Yeah, this is not. Yeah, right. If we're playing the Wire Fantasy Edition, then Fantasy Bubs be out there selling the copper pipes. Hey, Frederick, I'm sure it's not that I don't doubt that they have values in there. That's just in part of the things, like, I'm not into that. I'm just not. I just don't think I'm into that level of strip mining the dungeon. Just myself. I'm not really interested in it as a player. because again, you could probably quote the book and let me know how many doorknobs and hinges it takes to I don't know for whatever they cost. And no doubt, if somebody did do that, I would give them XP for it because it does take a lot of time. I mean, it would take a lot of time, and there is a benefit in that if you're playing the old uh, underworld, mythical, underworld where doors will close behind you. Door can't close if there is no door. So I get it, but it's just not interesting to me. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want that much accounting. I don't want to spend that much time doing it. And like I said, that's me as a player. Forget me as a GM. Me as a GM, I'd probably go okay, and I'd come up with some numbers, start rolling dice for encounters. But all right, so yeah, let's see. So we got a figurine, a blade core. Oh, that's cool. But I'll leave that under weapons. So we'll do a figurine over here. And I have no idea what these tables will end up being in terms of the numbers. I'm not even worried about that in there. So what I like about this too, and I love looking at these exhibits because you get all these different lingos and words for things. Like this thing. Here, I'll show you this right here. Am I showing the right? Yeah, it's on this. That's that right there. It's called a pyxis or a pyxis, made of statite. This vessel belongs to a category of elaborately decorated. You know what? Let me do something here. Let me do something. This is a very. Hold on, I got too many cups. I'm not doing very good at taking care of my station here. Let me try. This is going to be ugly, but it might just do the trick. That way people can see what I'm doing. Will this work? Hold on a minute. Oops. Aha, that did work. I might need to, what is this one? Oh, that's better. Can I? Yes. Let's roll. All right. Hey, Sapphire Ridge. Okay, so Hut Pikes. And by the way, Sapphire Ridge, impressive undertaking. Yeah, that's not all going to happen today. I should do that. I should task myself with what can I do and actually complete in like an hour or whatever it would end up being. This is not going to be that. So this is a Hut Pyxis made of steatite or steatite. I have no idea. Stay tight. That sounds like some kind of locking mechanism. This vessel belongs to a category of elaborately decorated pike sides that appear to mimic the design of early Cycladic architecture, with examples variously identified as domestic structures, sacred buildings, or granaries. It is possible that all types are represented. The long-term storage of grain would have been a vital strategy for a typical marginal early Cycladic agricultural community, and the importance of the household and the divine are obvious, although the value of such symbolism on a vessel that perhaps held jewelry or cosmetics is not clear. Not all known examples have a secure provenance, although most were probably grave goods that may have served a sepulchral function. Well, that's exactly what we want, right? But I need to, what does it actually mean? A pyxis? A capsule? What the? A box. What? What? Oh, it's a box. So it's pike sides, a capsular fruit what the heck? That dehisces? That's interesting. It could also be, wasn't there another definition? There wasn't. From the Latin, a box. Okay, so we're just gonna a way to say what can we call that? What kind? Because it's not just a box. Huh? What? A box? That's Metal Gear Solid. Let me see. How can I hold that up with one hand? So we got a box that is a mimic. I don't know. A box. Let's go. A small box. A box. Decorative box. As opposed to a chest. I don't know. Okay, got that. We have a model. So we've got model, right? Could be a house. In the case of a longboat, what's that made of? Lead. That's another good. I'm all for lead. All for one and all for lead. Okay, that's another good one. Ooh, frying pans. Are these really frying pans? I think they are. While named, oh no, maybe not. So it says, while named for their similarity to the modern frying pan, there's no evidence to suggest these vessels were used for cooking. Most examples have been recovered from cemeteries, and a variety of other interpretations have been suggested, including their use as ritual containers for food offerings, plates, salt molds, mirrors, and drums. The presence of decorations on the underside of these vessels suggests that, for full effect, they would have been raised or hung or mounted. This example is one of the most impressive. All right, so what do we want to call that? So it's not, they're saying it looks like a frying pan, but it's not a frying pan. They're saying it might be some kind of, well, it's not a plate. What the heck would we want to call that? I don't know. It's, huh. Interesting. But they do call them pans. All right, so I'll call it a decorative pan. I mean, I think we understand. All right, decorative box, decorative pan. It is pretty. Okay, so we got a teapot. Do we have a cup? No. Do I have cup? Oh, I do have cup. I do have cup already. Okay. Frederick, something about what is an Alsatian security hound has a 4 in 6 chance of detecting bardic powder in a snuff box? I have no idea what any of those things mean the way they've been put together, Frederick, but I believe you. Zoomorphic Pixis. So maybe there's an architectural Pixis box. Ugh. And now we've got a zoomorphic. Maybe you know what? Let me do. Actually, I'm gonna do something different. Let's say I need something where I can put the page down. What do I got here? I got my other book. Let's put the other book in here for the moment. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I need another box. And what we'll do here is we'll put this decoration types, and we've got one architectural, two zoomorphic. I think they may have geometric. I know I spelled that way wrong, so I'll let you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Got that. We got a bracelet. That's another excellent thing here. Things falling all around me. Well, that one I could put in jewelry. I guess beads can go in jewelry too. Oh, I have pendants and amulets. All right, and I'll just leave it. I'll leave that. I'll just put that. I'll just do it here. I can move these around later. Bracelet. Spouted bowl. A bone tube. What the heck is that? So this one's interesting. So you can see it, the bone tube. Modification of the body through tattooing, painting, or scarification was probably used in the early Cycladic period. Let me just take a drink of water here for the working man. As it is today, to indicate membership of a particular social group. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Pigment containers are occasionally found as grave offerings, accompanied in rare instances by copper needles and obsidian tools that could have been used to introduce color under the skin. Rare or toxic pigments may have been restricted to special events. Okay. So, This tube contains azurite, the popularity of which was probably linked to the development of copper metallurgy in the archipelago, and the exploitation of copper ore deposits may even have possessed a symbolic value precisely because of the association. So it's just a tube made of bone. All right, well, I'll put tube. That's fine. Head of a folded arm figurine. We have figurine in there. We do have figurines in the mix already. This is marble. That's a new... I don't think I have marble yet. I don't. Oops. Yeah, I didn't mean to look at code. Thank you. What the heck? Oh, there we go. One time I did that by accident. I don't know what I pressed, but I could not. It was I got zoomed out so far. I could not find couldn't find my board again. I don't know what the heck I had to do. I don't remember what I had to do to get it back. Okay, so we have gold. We have gold. This is gold jewelry. It's a nice flower. What is it to say what that is? It doesn't. Just says gold jewelry. Thank you. A slotted spearhead. Do we have copper? I don't think I had copper in the mix. Copper, you are now in the mix. Spearhead. I'm going to leave weapons to a separate thing. I'm not going to worry about daggers and spears and spearheads. Though it's another kind of cool thing you can do, right? You can have... One of the ways, you know, we usually don't really mess around with that, right? You find, oh, look at that, you found a spear, you found a sword, you found an axe. We don't really think about these parts. But another way you could do if you wanted to have a sense of needing to, I don't know, go to town or fix something, you want to have something get something special, but you don't necessarily, you want them to have to work more for it. One of the things you can do is just say, hey, you got a magic spearhead, but until you get it properly fitted to, a shaft or haft, right? A spear haft, then all you got is this spearhead. So you got work to do. And maybe you have to be something special. Maybe it's got to be a special wood, something else. Maybe, the idea here is that it was the spearhead that was magical, not the whole spear. So the wood broke, shattered, just, decayed, turned to powder, but the spearhead is still there. So I got figurines. Figurines, what are these made of? Terracotta, I've got that. Got marble. The Fat Lady of Saliagos. Well, there you go. A ring idol. What the heck is a ring? A collared jar. Do I have jar? I don't think I do have a jar. When is a door not a door? When it is a jar. What is this? A ring idol. 2 relief nipples. I guess that's those 2 there. Below the shank of this hammered sheet gold amulet, make clear that it was intended as a schematic representation of the human form. Okay, so it is, but what is it? So it's really an amulet. The idol, okay. Should I have that something separate, or is it? I think I'll just leave it, because I guess technically it's an amulet. So I'm going to leave it as an amulet. A sauce boat. This so-called sauce boat was first manufactured during the early Helladic period, Helladic II period. Several shapes seem to attest to an increase in communal feasting practices. I think I would just call that a bowl. Do we have a bowl? Actually, no, we don't. Okay, so we got a bowl. That, as I say, is a figurine. Oh, it's a jug. Do we have a jug? I think we do. No, we have a jar. We didn't have a jug, so we'll have a jug. What is this made out of? Terracotta. I've got terracotta. I've got marble. Got figurine again. Harpist and flautist figurines. Yep, what is that made of? Marble. Got marble. Zoomorphic vessel. Holding forth and drinking from a bowl that opens into its chest. Oh, it's a... What is it supposed to be? Oh, it's a hedgehog. Oh, how cute. Okay, complex and monumental. So we're kind of moving forward in time, by the way, as these things are going along. Let's see. This is all fine and dandy. Goblet, yes. Love me a goblet. And that is ceramic bowl with modeled figures. What is this? The interior of this bowl depicts a modeled shepherd accompanied by a ranked flock. Some 160 animals are preserved, although originally there may have been up to 200. That's interesting. So it's just but it is just a bowl. So here's another one of those great words, a crater. I don't know what that is. Let's plug. Oh, I mean, I guess I can tell what it is. But let's see. What does the dictionary say it is? Crater, a jar or vase of classical antiquity having a large round body and a wide mouth used for mixing wine and water. Oh, that's really cool. So I will definitely want to keep that. Crater. Excellent. This is ceramic. The demand for increasingly elaborate items of display during the Bronze Age. That's very pretty. We got another jug. We got another model. Town mosaic. So I'll put a mosaic down. Okay. All right. Seal stone. Now we're talking. That's green jasper. We have a terracotta disc. I wonder if I should just use seal instead of seal stone. So what it says about the seal stone is the second oldest Minoan writing system, Cretan hieroglyphic, appeared in circa 1800 BCE and included at least 90 syllabograms, signs representing syllables, and 30 logograms, signs representing words, as well as signs for numerals and fractions. Fewer than 400 documents have been excavated, and the script remains undeciphered. It was used by officials working in the emergent palatial economies of Crete. Although where signs on sealstones accompanied naturalistic motifs, they may have functioned differently, carrying a symbolic value that conferred status on its owner. So interesting. But we don't know what it means. And the Phaistos disc, all kinds of stuff on there, but nobody knows. We don't know what it is, what it means. All right, so we got a tablet, Linear B tablets. What are these made of? Clay. I don't think I have. I've got terracotta. I've got ceramics, but not clay. We've got tablets. And we've got a kylix, which is beautiful. Oh, did I see this one? I always love when you go to the museum, especially when you're in it's one of those things where major city we have these kind of classic museums, and then you buy a book and you see the thing in the book that you just saw in the museum. I don't remember seeing this one though, but it was there. I'm sure it was there. So a kylix is a drinking cup that has two looped handles on a shallow bowl set upon a slender center foot. Well, I like that. I suppose you could make a separate table of cups. Might make sense, but for now I'll just put it in here. An oxhide ingot. Why they call it an oxhide ingot? Anybody have an idea? There's what it looks like. This ingot is one of a group of 19 that made a part of the cargo of a late Bronze Age merchant ship sunk at Kyme Bay off the island, or Kyme, not sure, Bay off the island of Euboea. It is of the so-called oxide type, named for its broad resemblance to the skin. It was in this form, and to a lesser degree as rounded bun ingots, that raw copper was transported across the late Bronze Age Aegean. Very substantial cargoes of similar ingots have been identified from wrecks at Cape Geladanya and Ulu Barun, with a further ton. Oh, that's the parenthetical, which I was skipping, off the Anatolian coast. So an ingot, yes. Does an ingot have to be a precious metal? Could you have a stone ingot? Would that even make sense? I wonder if that might at some point need to go on its own table. What does it say? A mass of metal cast into a convenient shape for storage or transportation to be later processed. Okay, yeah, so you wouldn't want to do it in something that's not easily. You're doing it to store or transport and then convert to something else, most likely. So yeah, metals, things you can melt, and do things with, not like a crystalline kind of thing. Okay, storage jars. Pithoi. What the heck is a pithoi? We already got jars. They might be small jars. Is that anything? Pithos. Oh yeah. Plural is pithos. Plural is pithoi. Yeah, so I want pithos. Spare me your pithos. Stirrup jar. It's another. And I like that these have specific uses too. So if you go through these, and I suppose if I had more time, I could, write them in here. But that tells you kind of what was inside, or what is either still inside, or what was inside, which again gives you just more sort of world building stuff. So the stirrup jar is going to have oil or wine, so yeah, you can have that. Or is this a pithos? Was used for dry foodstuffs, but also wine and olive oil. Gold foil ornaments. Well, ornaments would be something. An extraordinary array of gold foil cutouts were recovered from the shaft grave 3. Those with perforations were sewn onto the burial shroud. Those without may have been glued or simply placed. Oh, okay, cool. So they're sort of grave things you would put on or on the body or nearby. And this is really cool, boy. You got like a little Cthulhian touch there with the octopus ornament. So we have pendant, which I think I have up there. Did I have that? Let's see. Yep, I have the pendant. A vase. I did not. I'm pretty sure I don't have vase. I definitely don't have rock crystal as a material. A lion hunt dagger. Bronze, gold. That's cool. A scepter head. Oh, yeah. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Now we're getting to the good stuff. All that stuff before, that was just prologue to the scepter heads. What is it? And that's made of a schist? What the heck is a schist? Schist. Anyone know offhand what a schist is? Did I spell scepter? SCEPT. No, I did. Why is the dictionary? Why is my. All right, what is a schist? Don't be a schist talker. A metamorphic crystalline rock that is closely foliated structure and can be split along approximately parallel planes. Wow. All right, that's very specific, but I like it. Ooh, a fresco. Lime plaster. Part of a 5-panel composition, the iconic Toreador fresco depicts an acrobat at the back of a charging bull. A second figure prepares to leap, while a third waits with arms outstretched. That's very cool. I wonder how you get it. Well, I'm going to put it down. Fresco. Lime plaster. Not sure what to do with that one, but plaster could be a bunch of things. I don't know about the lime part. Cups. Do I have cups? Yep, I've got cups. An acrobat, which is basically a figurine. We got some seal stones. Oh yeah, what is steatite? I didn't look that up. Steatite. Steatite. Massive talc, having a grayish green or brown color, aka soapstone. An electrically insulating porcelain component. Okay, I'm just gonna go with. I'll go with soapstone because I feel like that's more well known. I think I've heard of soapstone before. I can't think I've ever heard of steatite. Steatite. Okay, then we've got ivory. Yep, that's a good one. A lyre. Lyre. So an instrument. Okay. Priest King. Well, that's a what do we call that? A painting, a portrait, relief. Also known as the Prince of Lilies, this painted stucco relief, as it appears today, is the result of heavy restoration. Okay, undertaken in 1905. It has been suggested that Guérin's version combines fragments from a number of different figures, and several alternative interpretations have been offered. Okay. Oh, we call that let's call that a relief. Some of these I might need to take off because some of them are great, but they wouldn't be in a hoard. You know, they would be part of the tomb, like the wall decorations on the wall, as opposed to an actual thing. That's so you can see that if you're because remember with these generators, we do have to be generic in the sense of where you're finding these. So you might find this in a tomb, in which case you think, oh yeah, this painted relief makes perfect sense because it's on the wall, but it's kind of part of the treasures. But it could also be part of like an ogre's hoard that they stuffed in their lair, and then they're probably and the ogre probably not carefully detaching this relief to take with them. So I might need to figure that part out. But I'm part of the problem for me, and I don't know if this happens to other people, is you just get bogged down in the details, and I don't want to get there. So we have a miniature frieze, which I think is similar. This would be on a wall or somewhere. So we have more Paxus. We have another fresco. We've got ivory. We've got lime plaster. More frescoes. Yeah, those are all on walls. A model of a chariot. We got that. A siege Rhyton. Here's another new thing. Ritual vessel used for pouring libations at public ceremonies. Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one, remember. Was that what that means? Is that what Rhyton means? Whoops. Wrong window. Where are you? Okay. Rhyton is ornate drinking vessel shaped in part like an animal's head. Excellent. And they got a little picture. Hello, Rhyton. I never knew you. Okay. And the siege Rhyton, so named for its martial iconography, used for pouring libations at public ceremonies. 2 gold figure-of-8 shields frame the handle, while the body is decorated in repoussé with a seaborne attack on a coastal town. Wow. Women gesture from the town wall, while naked archers and slingers mount a defense from the shore, watched perhaps by 2 commanders in short tunics. Offshore, a boat carrying men in Aegean-style helmets moves past the floating bodies of naked warriors. The scene may have appealed to the warrior ethos favored by the Mycenaean elite, or it may have referenced a real action in which the owner of the vessel participated. Egads. That's some interesting stuff going on that. I think my favorite part, the The boats moving past the floating bodies of naked warriors. Or is it that the two might be commanders in short tunics watch from the back? There, if amongst the naked folk, those who have tunics, they're the guys in charge. All right, so a helmet's going to go with armor. So I'm not going to put it in here. I will put this is stele. I can never remember how I'm supposed to pronounce this word. Stele. Stele. I don't think this is actually going to be helpful. Stele, maybe, or stele. What does it say? Steely. Okay. All right. Steely Dan. I'll try to remember that. Okay. The Dendra Panoply. That's a cool suit. But that's armor, so I'm going to move on along. Oh, yeah. This one I did see. I have a picture of this. This is really cool looking. It's called a Kernos. And I remember I meant to look up what the heck a Kernos is. I mean, I know what it is. All right, so there we go. The Kernos was a ritual vessel with each of its 25 flasks and the central bowl probably used to hold offerings of foodstuffs, including seeds, grains, fruit, and drink. This large, simply decorated example on a high foot is one of 3 vessels said to have been found on the Cycladic island of Melos in 1829 by Captain Richard Copeland of HMS Mastiff during his 5-year survey of the waters around Greece and Italy. It is likely that the group, which included a jug and jar, came from the same tomb and perhaps from the major settlement of Philokopi on the northern coast of the island. Well, it's very pretty. There it is, a Kernos. I thought maybe it was like a candelabra because it looks pretty much that same. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell from the picture from this, but it looked like a candelabra kind of thing. There might be all kinds of candles going in there, but that's interesting that you put offerings in there too, or instead. What's that made out of? Ceramic. I've got that. Terracotta figurine. I've got that. More figurines. Got that. Oh, this one's really sad. This one's not. Yeah, this one's. When I flipped open the book at the bookstore, I saw this, which seemed to be really. It's obviously it's nothing to be sad. This child has been dead for eons longer than it ever lived, but still, like I guess they took the body of the infant and coated it in gold leaf, and the body didn't survive. It just deteriorated, right? But the gold leaf stayed behind. A labris? Was that some kind of it's got to be some kind of axe, right? I got it. Was that right? Labrys. Secret double axe. That's cool. I'll leave that for weaponry, but that is nice. The Mask of Agamemnon. That's a famous one. So mask I did not have. Getting up towards 36. A Rhyton? I know I saw Rhytons already. That one's made of rock crystal, which I also have. Yep. Another fresco. Another Rhyton. This one's made of serpentinite. Serpentinite? Ooh, what is that? I know it's some kind of rock, but still, serpentinite. Is that where Serpentor came from? A rock consisting chiefly of serpentine. Okay, well, what is that? A mineral or rock consisting essentially of hydrous magnesium silicate, usually having a dull green color and often mottled in appearance. Okay, well, only the model of appearance really is helpful to me this time, but serpentinite. All right. Serpentinite. Harvester vase. Again, I think I have vase. Yes, I definitely have vase. Fisherman fresco. I've got the fresco. Signet ring. I don't think I have rings yet, actually. Interesting. Got all the way down here and hadn't had a ring yet. It's made of gold. Snake goddess. What is that? Faience? What is faience? Faience? Faience. What the heck is that? Earthenware decorated with opaque colored glazes. Okay, let me write that. Oops. Faience. All right, these are very cool. Snake goddess and attendant. Well, they look super friendly. I don't know about you. Ivory triad. Bull's head, right, Tom? Sarcophagus. A female head. Stucco. Stucco as a material. I'll put statue. I think a sarcophagus. I mean, I suppose. What do we think of a sarcophagus? On the one hand, it certainly is a treasure, but does it have to be? Since part of the thing here is I'm thinking, do we need to have different? So we have categories, right? So we go to the treasure tables. We've got categories. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to kind of break these for my own game. Because these letters I don't find them meaningful. They don't really go in order either. You go from A, which is 18,000, then B is 2,000, 18,000 gold piece average, and B goes to 2,000 gold piece average, C to 1,000. And as soon as you think, oh, okay, so we're getting smaller every time we go. Nope. D is now 3,900. Oh, then E drops back to 2,300, but it's still more than C. Oh, no, and it's more than B. A lot less than A. Then, F is 7,700 GP, which puts it up to the second highest. And then G is 23,000, and then H is 60,000, and then I drops down to 11,000. Then J is 25, and then it just goes, and then M is 50,000. I'm sure there's a story on why these things make sense, and maybe somewhere in the esoterica of D&D, there's something like, oh yeah, well M stands for this, and this makes sense, but it is a never-ending source of confusion for me every time I need to try to figure out treasure, and it's not associated directly with a monster. Like, oh, I want to, because I often think about, oh, I'd like a certain amount of some treasure in here, but I don't necessarily have a monster in mind, but I certainly don't have a treasure in mind, so I want to kind of roll randomly which one of these tables do I use, and it's endless trying to figure out which one of these fits. So I think I will definitely at some point want to reorganize things. Yes, it will break. I won't be able to just use it, simply fill it. Maybe I'll come up with some rules to fill it, to swap, rather, the numbers for whatever I come up with. But at least for myself, I'm not going to worry about the compatibility part, because I just find that it just doesn't work for me. I mean, it works fine when I have the notation. When it's like, oh yeah, roll on character, treasure type, whatever, that's fine. But when I have to try to, which oftentimes, like I said, happens for me, where I don't have a treasure type, I'm just trying to find a treasure, it's annoying to have to try to figure out which one of those is the best fit, because they're not obvious from the letter designations. All right, where am I at? Okay, I'm basically at an hour. So I'm gonna call this here. Essentially, what I'm doing, and it's not the most exciting thing, which I apologize for that, but I'm trying to do is basically go through and I'm using these source books. Right now we've been going through Greece, or I can just flip it here. I forgot that I have this Greece source book, and using it to just come up with a bunch of things. Maybe we'll use most of it. It doesn't have to be all of it. And I think, as I mentioned in a stream about tables and prep tables, these would be the kind of prep tables, and then you could roll on your final tables for what's in a specific place. So Starblazer asked, yeah, what book I'm looking at. So this book, let me, hold on a minute. Get a little more light. Okay. Sorry about that. Probably should have lit it better from the start. I wasn't thinking. This book is called Ancient Greece by David Michael Smith. It's the pocket museum book published by Thames and Hudson. I got this for $10 from the Strand. List price $18. So I got it for almost half off. It's what's great about it is there's lots of pictures. Lots of pictures and information, which I always appreciate, and I'm really just mining it for stuff. Which is what I love these books for. And yeah, I could do this online, but I don't find it works as well for me. I like to have it. I don't know. Something for me, having the book physically in my hand, I can flip through it. To me, it's a lot harder. Though it would be easier to copy paste stuff, obviously, if I found it digitally. But I don't know. Something about just having it in my hand. And then the other book I got, which I didn't have a chance to look at, maybe next time, is this one called Medieval Craftsman Goldsmiths, which has a bunch of different things in it. Also has some beautiful stuff and lots of pictures with a lot of things, and then actually has some cool stuff about goldsmiths at work. And in fact, this is kind of neat. It's got a map or a plan. Where is it? Right here. Oh, now you hold on a minute. Sorry about that. What is which button do I have to press? There we go. We got this plan here. That is the plan of an annex to the main workshop in the 9th century monastic plan preserved at the Abbey of St. Gall in Switzerland. So this is telling about all the different, basically the plan, I guess, of this annex of the workshop. And it's got the different, hallways, doors. I'll take a better picture and I'll share it somewhere. It's pretty cool. Or I maybe look it up and get it finished. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I really like these. And it's got all kinds of great stuff. And you can find all this stuff. Like I said, this one I think was I think I spent $3 on this one, and $9 on that one. So they're excellent books. Lots of great information and inspiration. And like I said, for me, I know you can find a lot of stuff online, but I don't know, the tactile flipping through it just works better for me. I like just having it. So I don't know what I'll do more work. And maybe we'll get to a part where it's just maybe a little bit more fun, where I'm not just writing down lists of things, but actually maybe making some tables and rolling up some samples and seeing what we get. But part of the process is you have to kind of do this, right? Somebody's got to make a list of things somewhere to make the table you're rolling off of. So it's not the most exciting work, and for a stream, in terms of streams, might be the most boring work. But it is necessary at some level. So we got a bunch of it done. We got 36. I could stop here and have a nice list, or I'm sure there's more. Keep going, and I might split these out and make even some subtables. And then, I think for play, I would not use a bunch of these tables, but then I would roll up a few things and have them, right? You roll up your treasure hoards, or roll up some things and then put aside. But we'll get to there towards the end. Anyhow, that's all for now. I'm not sure how many streams I'm going to get going this week, or the videos. It might be light on the channel this week because of the holiday here in the U.S. Thanksgiving's this week. So I'll probably be online tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, probably. Thursday, I won't be. And then Friday, probably not. But it might be that I need another day also. So we'll see. Hey, Star Blazer. Well, you can go back to the beginning. Like I said, this stream is not the most exciting, but if you're you're interested in kind of following along, it's basically me going through the book, putting stuff in there. But I'll definitely be getting into it. And I have lots of these videos, Starblazer, so I don't know if you're familiar with the channel or not, but there's lots of this kind of stuff where if you want to see, me going through something practically, as opposed to just giving a lot of channels just give kind of the high level, here's how you do stuff, which is good, which is fine. And I do that too. But I'll also do these videos where I'm literally going through trying to do the thing. And I know a lot of folks have found them useful, so hopefully you do too. Well, all right, folks. I guess that's all I got. So enjoy the rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. And